Altoona. After a slow start with the curve, Cruz finished the season on a hot streak. In 136 plate appearances at AA, Cruz finished with strong overall numbers with a 269 average, 346 on base, 412 slugging to go with a 10.1% extra base hit rate and a 120 WRC+. Prior to the coronavirus pandemic, Cruz was slated to start the season back with AA Altoona. The 21-year-old Cruz would have been playing shortstop for the curve, although he's unlikely to be at shortstop long term. Cruz's best tool is his power hitting tool. While he still has developing to do, it would not be unreasonable to see Cruz be able to hit for success at the MLB level. That said, he could also struggle immensely until he develops further as a hitter. It is a very out-of-the-box idea to propose Cruz as the Pittsburgh Pirates DH in 2020. But hey, the 2020 season is going to be a weird one, so why not propose an outside-of-the-box idea? So, there I gave it to you. 3 ideas, 3 scenarios for the Pirates' designated hitter choices. There are options that Derek Shelton, Don Kelly, and crew will have to diagnose over a 3-week spring training 2.0 time frame. And they're only going to have the opportunity to play 3 exhibition games, and I would imagine those 3 games would come against the Indians right before that July 23rd, 24th weekend. So when you see the options, ideally, and what I think they're likely going to do is have Josh Bell DH and have a combination of Jose Osuna, Will Craig, and Colin Moran at first base. And the interesting thing, I think, would be if they decided to go Bell DH, Moran first, Hayes at third base. It'd be interesting. If I were making the decision, I would. I definitely do want to see Hayes at third base because we know and we understand that Moran is not the long-term solution at third. He's just not. He's not a good third baseman. He really isn't. Could he be better suited at first base if you have Bell DH, Moran at first, Hayes at third? But then what do you do with Jose Osuna and Will Craig? And I want to see Will Craig get an opportunity. And listen, I'm going to continue to unabashedly say this, and you might call me crazy at this point because I've been saying this for so freaking long. Will Craig is going to have a better MLB career than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I'm going to continue to say that. I've been saying this and made this prediction back in November of 2018. I'm going to continue shouting from the mountaintops. He deserves an opportunity. But the other sort of idea when I was thinking about it is why not move Adam Frazier to the DH? And it sounds weird, right? Moving a Gold Glove finalist in 2019 to designated hitter? But when you think about it, Newman is below average at shortstop, but he's better at second base. And Newman is better defensively than Frazier at second base. And Cole Tucker is the best defender in the whole Pirate system. And we talked earlier in the show about how if you give Cole Tucker a full season, he is going to be a Kevin Newman offensively type player. And that just starts to make sense. Adam Frazier's value comes with his bat. It does. That's where his value comes from. So you have Frazier at the DH, Tucker at short, and you have Newman at second, Bell at first. Bell's doing his offensive thing. His, defense still isn't going to be good. And then hopefully we start to transition into Hayes at third. You have Reynolds in left. Obviously Dyson for the time being in center. Polanco in right. And Stallings who's pretty good behind the dish. And you start to see a lineup and a team start to formulate and form into what could be a really good defense and a really good offense. Now, the pitching conversation, what the Pirates are going to do with the rotation, with the bullpen, that's a conversation for next week. We don't have time for that this week. But when you look at everything all told, all put together, and you look at all the options that Shelton has, if I had to pick one, it would be moving Frazier to DH, Newman to second, start Tucker at short, and start to transition into Hayes at third. That way you could keep Frazier if they're in contention. See what I mean there? And also have Tucker at shortstop. I think that makes sense logistically for them to go down that route rather than any other route that Derek Shelton and Don Kelly have the options to go to. And they definitely could go soon at first spell DH. But I like that second idea. The Pittsburgh Pirates have made many draft mistakes. One of the biggest was the 2006 MLB draft when they drafted college pitcher Brad Lincoln. Leading up to 2006, the Pittsburgh Pirates had actually done fairly well with their first-round picks. After the draft blunder of Brian Bullington in 2002, the Pirates had selected Paul Maholm in 2003, Neil Walker in 2004, and Andrew McCutchen in 2005. But in 2006, the Pittsburgh Pirates would run into yet another first-round pick that would end up being a failed prospect when they selected Brad Lincoln with the 4th overall selection in the draft. Lincoln was drafted out of the University of Houston, the same college that produced former Pittsburgh Pirates ace Doug Drabeck, but unlike Bullington or Daniel Moskos, who was drafted the following season, Lincoln was actually a pretty productive arm in the year he was drafted. During his final season at Houston, Lincoln pitched in 127 and 2/3 innings. He allowed just 24 earned runs, and resulting in a strong 1.69 ERA. He also struck out 152 batters, walked just 32, and allowed 8 home runs. He also had a sub-1 whip at .96. But Lincoln could get it done with the bat in his hands. Lincoln could also play some first base and slugged 14 home runs, a dozen doubles, and a .295 average, .368 on base, .536 slugging, and 224 at-bats. This was not the first time the junior posted an OPS above 900, as he had a .933 OPS in his sophomore season. In his final college season, Lincoln won several college awards, including the Dick Howser Trophy, Brooks Wallace Award, made the Conference USA All-Tournament team, and won the Conference USA Player of the Year Award. Looking back at old scouting reports, Lincoln's fastball sat in the low to mid-90s, but he could crank it up into the high 90s if he needed to. He paired that with a strong curveball, plus considering his batting prowess, he was also seen as a guy who wasn't going to be an automatic out when he stepped to the plate. So, with their first pick and with the 4th overall selection in the draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates chose Lincoln. The Bucs gave him a $2.75 million signing bonus, but things got off to an ugly start and the beginning of Lincoln's downfall. Lincoln only pitched 23 and 2/3 innings in 2006 and was forced to undergo Tommy John surgery at the beginning of the 2007 season. He missed all of 2007 and returned in 2008, but did not put up great results. In 103 and 2/3 innings between low A and high A, Lincoln had a 4.69 ERA, 3.89 FIP, and a 1.26 WHIP. He was really good at limiting walks with a fantastic 3.9% walk rate, but had a subpar 17.2% strikeout rate and 1.1 home runs per 9. Decent numbers if he were a late-round pick, but not so good when he was the 4th overall selection in the draft 2 years prior. 2009 would be Lincoln's age 24 season, and the right-hander did improve, seeing his ERA and WHIP drop to 3.37, 3.32, and 1.19, through 136 and a third innings between AA and AAA, plus he saw a strikeout percentage 19.3%, while his walk rate at a very strong 5%. Home runs became less of an issue as he started 11, resulting in a 0.7 home runs per 9. Between 2010 and 2011, Lincoln would bounce between AAA and the MLB level. Although he would post solid numbers at AAA, in both seasons he was not making an impact at the MLB level. His first 103rd innings in the majors, he had 120 hits, 64 earned runs, 13 home runs, and just 54 strikeouts to oppose 31 walks. His ERA plus of just 68 was just another dent in the former prospect's career. Lincoln seemed to finally be turning a corner in 2012, mainly used as a swingman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Lincoln pitched in 28 games and started 5. Overall, he threw 59 and a third innings and had a 2.73 ERA, 3.58 FIP, and 1.09 WHIP. Lincoln was striking out batters at a professional career best rate of 25%, while still showing great control with a 5.8% walk rate. Although home runs became an issue once again for Lincoln with a 1.2 home runs per 9 rate, he still had a strong xFIP at 346 and SIERA at 3.11. But the Pirates decided to move on from Lincoln. They traded him to the Toronto Blue Jays for another former top prospect and who was also selected in the 2006 draft. With Lincoln, outfielder Travis Snyder. After 2012, Lincoln barely played at the MLB level again and hasn't pitched professionally since 2015. Now, granted, the 2006 draft was not as deep as the 2002 draft or 2008 draft, but that does not mean that there were not any good players. Two of the most effective starting pitchers in the past dozen years were selected in the draft: Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer. Tim Lincecum, Andrew Miller, and Ian Kennedy were also selected after Lincoln in the first round. One of the most effective relief pitchers in the second half of the decade, Dellin Betances, was also selected later in this draft. A few other solid bats like David Freese, Justin Turner, and Brandon Belt were selected a few rounds later. Hopefully, Ben Cherington doesn't make the same mistakes previous Pittsburgh Pirates general managers have made. Lincoln, Moskos, and Bullington are just a few names among a handful of players the Pirates swung and missed on in the 2000s. These are mistakes that a team like the Pirates can't make as often as they do. And that's why the 2000s, really up until 2013, were so bad. It's because they picked guys like Lincoln, Moskos, and Bullington. Ben Cherington, in the form of Nick Gonzalez, cannot afford to do that. They cannot afford to swing and miss, and the Pirates, being a small market team, cannot afford to swing and miss on drafts. They really can't. And they haven't really swung and missed in recent memory. I mean, Lincoln was 14 years ago at this point. But that's why they were so bad in the 2000s. If they want the 20s to finally be the decade when the Pirates win their first World Series since 1979, you know where that starts? That starts in the draft. That starts on not missing on premier draft picks, like not missing on Nick Gonzalez. You can't miss on the 7th overall pick. You just can't. Okay? And 10th overall pick, Travis Swaggerty. I know he was a Neil Huntington pick, but that really can't be a miss. You can't really miss on first round picks overall. But especially premier picks. And this is why it was so frustrating for Pirates fans in the early 2000s. It's because they drafted guys like Brad Lincoln, like Daniel Moskos, like Brian Bullington. Like, come on. And Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer were in the draft that Brad Lincoln was drafted in. Now, obviously, Kershaw and Scherzer, the Pirates likely don't have the money to keep them past, their 6 years of service time. But just imagine, 2006, you would have a Scherzer or a Kershaw right in that playoff window. When they had Garrett Cole, when they had Francisco Liriano, when they had Charlie Morton, A.J. Burnett. You imagine adding a Kershaw or a Scherzer to that mix in 2013? Would that have pushed them over the top? You never know. And the reason why I go back and why I scrutinize drafts of old like this is because I believe it's merited. Because you can't just allow mistakes like this to consistently happen time and time again like it did in the 2000s. You point out a year like 7 years ago where they could have used a Kershaw or a Scherzer. Or in 14 and 15 when they were so close to being the best team in baseball, but the Cardinals got that at 100 wins, the Pirates at 98. Would a Kershaw or Scherzer push them over the top? It's up to you to decide. But, I think they would have. So let's just hope and pray that Ben Cherington and Nick Gonzalez can really start this trend of elite players coming in the draft. All right. That's going to do it for our show today. I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to bucco-booth. No matter if you're doing this live or archived, I certainly do appreciate it. I am so excited. Wednesday, Pirates camp starts at PNC Park. Spring Training 2.0. We'll have all the latest next Saturday, right here, noon at bucco-booth. The schedule should probably come out this week, too. We'll probably go over that next week. I would guess they open up on July 24th. They're going to be playing only NL and AL Central teams. It's going to be an exciting season. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. This is baseball. We were confident in 2019 that the Pirates were going to have a really good season. They finished in last. I know some of you may be down, but get ready. Get excited for the season. It is less than a month away. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Benson Fector. This has been Bucco Booth. Please give me a follow on Bucks Dugout. Have a great weekend, and great week, everybody. Baseball is back. Let's